This chair's not very comfy. Hang on. Much better. 2017 was a great year for games. Well, it was if you have my very specific interests. Tons of great games were released this year, and a lot of them were really big. Unfortunately, I don't think all of the popular games deserved the attention that they got. Playerunknown Battlegrounds is huge. It's currently the most played game on Steam, beating Dota, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, and Paladins. If you've been living under a pre-generated low-poly rock, Playerunknown Battlegrounds is a multiplayer battle royale game where up to 100 players are dropped into a map. Last man standing wins. Everyone is playing this $30 game. It's not even a year old yet, and it's already sold 20 million copies. Oh, and I should mention, the game isn't even out yet. This is just a beta. Or an alpha. What is it again? And man, it must be great, because the Game Awards nominated it for Game of the Year. This must be a really deep and well-made game. Playerunknown Battlegrounds. Okay, that's the last time I'm saying its full name. Playerunknown is a third-person shooter where you drop out of a plane as it flies across an island. You start with nothing but your clothes and a fanny pack, so you have to search through any of the island's many buildings peppered across the map. All the items are randomly placed, and a circle makes the playable area smaller and smaller, forcing you to keep moving. While you run around the map, you'll most likely run into another player or two. These can be tense firefights from across buildings, crazy close encounters, or the most common, I like to call, the Mario Kart. This is when everything is all good and you're feeling confident, and then you die. Getting killed from people you can't even see, people miles away, people who snuck up on you, things like that. These are the anticlimactic endings to a game where the cards just weren't in your favor. You don't really win this game. I've never actually won a round. It's more about the build-up, so when you get killed by someone that you can't even see, it's a little annoying. In a game where the player versus player combat is the main reason to play the game, you'd think it'd be a bit better. It plays like a standard third-person shooter, aim down the sights, shoot people. The guns have all sorts of modifications and little stats that make them slightly different, but it never feels like it matters. Who knows if the game will actually register if you hit someone. I don't know how many times I've filled someone with bullets only to have them kill me in 1 or 2 shots. I distinctly remember using a car, which is a powerful sniper rifle, to headshot someone only to have them turn around and kill me in 1 shot. And before people say that I'm just bad or it's all in my head, oh no, the game makes sure to show me that yes, it won't count my shots. On many occasions, I will be shooting someone and I see the blood splatter only to die and be told that, no, I didn't hit anyone. Oh, it's just lag. Of course. In a game all about intense skilled player versus player combat, having multiple shots not register is completely acceptable. That sounds like best multiplayer. But oh, the map is so big. Hey guys, welcome to my how to make a Playerunknown map tutorial. So first we need to make the ground big. Okay, it just needs to be a bit bigger. Alright, bigger. Alright, now we need some houses. So here's a house that I bought. Made. I made it. And then we'll just copy this and put this here. And I'll put this one here. And then this one here. And then this one here. And 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 here. And this one here. And this one here. And this one here.
There can only be one game of the year. So one last time, I'd like to recap.
This game shouldn't even be considered for Game of the Year. I mean, it's still an alpha. Oh, just because it's an alpha doesn't mean it can't be considered Game of the Year. Yeah, I actually agree with that for the most part. I do, however, think that only functional games should be considered. This game is broken. The optimization is awful, running like garbage no matter what your computer is like. Man, look at the quality of that footage. His computer must suck. Well, my PC isn't the most powerful thing ever. It's pretty good, and I have no problems running most modern releases with close to max settings. I have to play Playerunknown on the lowest settings. For me, this is the only way for the game to be playable, and I still have performance issues. Sometimes the initial landing is the most important part of the game, so it's good that none of the buildings are loaded. Oh man, look at all that best multiplayer. For me, the start of the game is always landing next to a building, then sitting there for 60 seconds while I wait for the game to give me the honor of being able to enter them. And this happens at the beginning of every round. The map is exactly the same every time, so why can't it just load it once and then keep it loaded for the next round? And it seems like everyone has different problems. People I've played with have all had their own slew of issues, like having the camera lock and other players being invisible. Oh, in a tense race to get a gun before you get shot? Network lag detected. Of course, you might not have to deal with any of these issues because the game might not even let you play. Constant crashing, freezing the loading screen, locking up my entire computer. But this game is still in alpha. Of course it's going to be rough around the edges. When did a game being an alpha make any issues it has irrelevant? They're selling the game for $30, it used to be $40, and I'm the one in the wrong for expecting a functional product? Early access games are so great, you can sell a game and you never have to fix any of the problems. Oh, cut them some slack, they're a small independent studio. Thanks for bringing that up, I want to talk about them. Bluehole, the PUBG Corporation. They're just a small, poor, independent studio with over 100 staff members. What are they doing? I mean, besides modeling vagina. The game has been out for 9 months now, and yet the game still has major problems that remain untouched. But hey, at least we're getting a new map and parkour. Glad to know their priorities are in order. I don't really know the development process of a game, and I imagine every game is different. But what are they doing over there? They have plenty of money, and again, over 100 employees. Would it really be that hard to have 5 or maybe 10 people address all the massive game-breaking bugs? Isn't that one of the big benefits of an early access game, is getting free player testing? You have so many players right now, listen to them! No, what we really need is parkour. Again, I assume every game is different, but there are countless examples of tiny studios consisting of 1 or 2 broke developers that can provide monthly updates to their games. These guys have loads of money and tons of people. Are these issues really that complicated that 100 people over 9 months can't figure them out?
So what was the size of the team when you started?
At the time, it was like 30 people.
And now?
Working 130-ish, 140, and growing.
Oh, thanks for the official number. Let's take a look at other studio sizes, shall we? Little over a dozen people work on Awesomenauts. Rivals of Aether has 9 people working on it. Valve had 30 people when they were making Half-Life, and around 100 when they released Half-Life 2. Not super relevant today, but 10 to 15 people made the original Quake. Now it has around 200 employees, all managing Dooms Online, Quake Champions, Wolfenstein, and whatever other project that they may have in the works. Larian Studios, the creators of Divinity Original Sin 2, consists of 130 people. The Overwatch team is said to be around 100-ish people. Hey, wait a second. That's an online game that's able to provide constant updates with fresh content and quick bug patches. Huh, interesting. But all these issues can be ignored because at its core, it's a good game, right? Is it? The idea isn't exactly new. It's just taken from H1Z1, which is a copy of DayZ, which is inspired by the Hunger Games, which is copied from Battle Royale. So what makes the game unique then? Well, let's ask Brendan Greene, the creator of Battlegrounds.
There's certain things that I sort of created for my Battle Royale game mode in Arma, and then jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, I've never seen people jump out of a plane before. Hey, you can't do that, that's PlayerUnknown's original idea!
They didn't exist in the movies. The red zone and stuff like that. These are kind of ideas that are kind of unique.
Really? Timed area-based hazards are a staple in the Battle Royale setting. Almost every Battle Royale has something of this nature.
They didn't exist in the movies. The ever-decreasing blue circle, right?
Okay.
In the Battle Royale, the book, it's a square.
Oh, okay, you're right. Congratulations. You changed a square into a circle. We got a creative genius over here. Woo! Yes! Good job. You did it. I wonder what the creative process was to make such a decision.
Well, I couldn't code either of those, so
Right.
It's an ever-decreasing circle.
Oh.
Can I ask you, what about your version of Battle Royale do you think is uniquely yours?
I mean...
Now before I go on to talk about some of the other things that Brendan has said, I would like to make it very clear that I have nothing against him. He seems like a nice enough guy, and the story of how he got here is actually pretty cool. I liked hearing him talk about how he is using the money to support his father and daughter. So yeah, I have no hard feelings against him, I'm happy for his success, and I wish nothing bad on him. Alright, now that that's over, let's make fun of the stupid crap he said.
It's like, people said, oh, this game will never, the amount of times I've heard that, it's like challenge accepted. And and now fucking challenge completed and we're out of early access.
Well, it's pretty easy when you can just randomly decide if a game is ready to be released.
I think cosmetic microtransactions, they're a good way to keep the games alive. I like a skin economy.
I'm gonna let this one slide because that's not what this video is about.
Because games are art at the end of the day, and
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize this was an art game. Move over, Journey.
It's hard.
It's not a lot of people.
No. And again, it's not something you can just throw money at.
Well, yeah, sure. But if the people you pay can't do what they're being paid to do, then maybe you should use that money to hire people who can.
Oh yeah, like,
just
oh,
throw
you guys
them
have made this amount of money. Obviously, you can do anything. And it's like, no, the world doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but you could do something.
So much more mainstream that that you want the little guy to succeed. That if a little guy creates something and then the bigger company just rips off his idea, and he has no recourse or no framework to go to. Yes, it can be very a slippery slope, but I think we can look at, as I said, music and other forms of art and see how they do it.
The gameplay isn't really that great. The best parts are the tense player versus player moments, and you just end up getting screwed anyway. Plus it takes tons of matches to even get there. It controls the same as any third-person shooter, and it's just boring visually. The game doesn't work half the time. Having 100 people on a server is not that impressive nowadays. The cosmetic system is unrewarding and pointless. The random elements hurt its competitiveness. It's as basic can be. It's filled with hackers. But why do people love this game so much? If this game was made by any other studio, indie or not, it would be torn to shreds as a buggy, broken, basic multiplayer game that only got as far as it did because it's the closest anyone has gotten to a decent battle royale game. The only reason this game isn't considered an unfunctioning mess is because all the popular streamers play it, I guess? Is it actually the worst game of this year? No, not really. But it's definitely the worst I played. I don't really make a habit of playing bad games, and I didn't play Sonic Forces because I know better than to trust Team Sonic. This game has a lot of potential, I think. As long as they don't just drop it and pretend it never happened like every other early access game. In a couple of years, this game could be great. But that's one of the reasons why I don't like early access. When it's finally good, will anyone care? We're already seeing tons of games like this pop up, like Fortnite, and they're made by people who actually know what they're doing. With how slow changes are being made to Playerunknown, it will be easy for some game to pass it in terms of functionality and content. That is, if the trend isn't dead within the next few months. Because that's what I imagine will happen. Before the game fixes itself, people will get bored and move on to the next streamer bait. I mean, look at Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest Playerunknown streamers, and he's ready to move on to the next new thing. Like he did with his wife.